my name is Elizabeth St. John. Happy holidays, everybody. So today I am going to be making miso apricot salmon from a HelloFresh meal kit. I am going to be doing some alterations to it just based on my taste preferences. This is one of my husband's favorite meals. It's very easy to make. Takes about 40 minutes prep time, 10 minutes to cut the veggies, which I already did. And just a little bit about me, about 2.5 years ago, I had gastric sleeve surgery. I lost 145 pounds, and I found that meal prepping and planning is essential in keeping my weight loss down. So I do meal prepping and planning once a week, usually on Saturday or Sunday. This is my first video, so please forgive me if it's not perfect. But what I'm gonna do is get started on the rice first, since that takes the longest to cook, and also the carrots, which I have already sliced up. Put a little olive oil on there, salt and pepper. So those are actually gonna go in the oven and roast at 425 degrees. And my oven should heat up pretty quickly since I've already been cooking today. Then we're gonna get started on the rice. I have some olive oil in the pan. I have my scallions cut up. These are the ends of them, which I usually cook in the oil to infuse the flavor into the rice, which makes it delicious. And then I have jasmine rice, which we are going to add 1.5 cups of water to once the scallions have cooked for about 2 minutes, just until they're fragrant. Until they get fragrant, and then I'm gonna add in my jasmine rice. This is for 4 servings, so it comes with 2 bags of rice, and we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of water. And I have my oven preheating to 425 degrees. We are going to be making some carrots to go with it. I've already cut up all my produce. So my carrots I've already tossed in olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. And they usually take about 25 minutes to roast in the oven. And when they come out, I like to put a little honey over the top, and it just makes it taste really good, and it's gonna complement the apricot salmon glaze really well. So scallions look pretty good. I'm gonna toss the rice in. And you just wanna stir the rice to coat it in the oil so that way it doesn't burn. It gets all the flavor in there. As I'm flinging rice everywhere. Now we're gonna add in the 1.5 cups of water. Give it a quick stir, just to make sure none of the rice is stuck on the side of the pot here. And then we are going to have this come to a boil again, and then turn it down to a simmer for about 15 to 18 minutes. And while that's going, I am going to actually do the sauce first. So it comes with seafood stock, which we are going to add in with some sweet orange marmalade, and I have some pineapple mango jam. This is my little extra I add in, as well as some lemon. So that was my oven. So I'm gonna toss in my carrots, which are already prepped. Alexa, set 15-minute timer.
15 minutes, starting now.
So for the sauce, I kind of eyeball it. I'm just gonna take a scoop of the mango pineapple jam preserves. And then I'm going to take the sweet orange marmalade Smuckers. Add in a scoop of that. Toss our rice down to a simmer, which will also take about 15 minutes to cook. Just making sure the timer's on there the right way. And then you want to add a little butter in here into the orange marmalade with the seafood stock, which comes with 2. And we're basically just going to reduce this down, and it'll become a nice glaze at the end. And I like to add in a little lemon just to break up the sweetness. And if you roll your lemon on the countertop before, it gets actually more juice out of there, which I've already done. So I'm just gonna give this a little stir, help it break down. And my husband actually likes a lot of sauce, so I think I'm gonna add in a little more of the mango jam here. So you can kind of alter these meals and taper them to your taste and what you prefer. You don't have to go exactly by the directions, and I think that's part of the fun of cooking, is to be inventive and, you know, create something that you're gonna like. All right, so we got everything going. Next is the salmon. I've salt and peppered both sides. I've left this out for about 5 minutes just to get to room temperature so it's not cold, and it'll help it cook a little better. And instead of using olive oil, I prefer to use butter when cooking the salmon because it helps to get a nice golden brown crust on there. So I'm just gonna wait for the butter to heat up. Help this reduce down a little bit. And to make it not as thick and chunky, I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of water. Sorry if the kitchen's a mess here. Usually I'm a little more neater when I'm cooking. But being the first video and all, you know, you learn from your mistakes. And usually what I do after all this is prepared, I have 3 compartment storage containers for meal prepping that come with lids. Everything's dishwasher safe, they're reusable. They're actually fairly cheap. I think a 20 pack of them on Amazon was like $12. And they also come in different sizes if you wanted to buy just dishes or 2 compartments, you know, whatever you're looking for meal prep that'll work for you the best. I find the 3 work best because then I can have, you know, the starch if I have one, a vegetable, and then the main dish. Or if I'm not having a starch and there's a sauce or like a sour cream, I'll usually put that in the 3rd compartment depending on what I'm making. But I've been using HelloFresh now for the past year. I've tried pretty much every single meal kit that there was, and HelloFresh is my favorite. And if there's any issues at all, like if your delivery's late, if the produce doesn't look good, they actually give you a full refund. So I've had no issues with them whatsoever compared to other meal kits where they're kind of stingy and don't want to refund your money. And all the produce and meats are always fresh, flavorful. They always have different recipes. I think there's about 28 you can choose from or more based on your meal plan. I do 2 meals a week, 4 servings each. So that way I usually get something for myself and then a meal for my husband. So this is my husband's meal for the week. And I actually made some cranberry chicken with pan stuffing and roasted carrots for myself. So I did that earlier. That was a new recipe and it took a little longer than expected. I think that was a little more expert level or intermediate. And the good thing about HelloFresh is you can choose what level you're on. If you're an intermediate cooker, a beginner, or advanced. So you can pick your meals based on that, which I think is very convenient. You just want to make sure all this butter gets melted and the pan's nice and hot before I throw the salmon in here. And I might just put a little drizzle of olive oil in here just to make sure the pan is fully coated. And this is avocado and sunflower oil mixed together, my own little combination. So you know it's ready, the butter will start bubbling. So we're gonna go ahead, you wanna put the skin side down first. And you wanna make sure you have a big enough pan, otherwise the meat will not cook through properly and you're gonna get uneven cooking. Alexa, set 5-minute timer.
Second timer, 5 minutes, starting now.
So let me get rid of this plate. I have a clean plate over here ready to go for once the salmon's done, because it can cook very easily. Overcook it, I should say. And a meat thermometer is always healthy to have. Salmon is done at 145 degrees. Usually I'll cook it to 143. So that way when you reheat it in the microwave, it's not going to be overcooked, which can actually happen. So I'm just gonna stir my glaze over here. See how that's coming together. And it is a little watery, so what you can do is make a slurry of cornstarch, and I'll show you how that is done. Basically, you just take a little bit of cornstarch in here. This is probably a couple tablespoons. Add some water to it, not too much. And you're gonna stir until there's no more chunks in there, because if you add it to the hot liquid, you're just gonna get chunks of cornstarch in your sauce, which is not very appetizing. It doesn't take long to dissolve, so you just pour that in. And give that a stir, and that will help to thicken it up. And depending on how thick you like your sauce, you can add more or less in there. Just want to make sure I get it pretty well mixed in here. And that looks pretty good, because it's going to continue to thicken as it simmers on here. And it's important to taste your food as well. I like to taste the sauce, make sure it's all right. It's actually really good. The seafood stock gives it a little bit of salt, so you don't really need to add any salt in here. I might just add a little bit of pepper, and that's really it. I also might add just a little bit of honey, so that way it kind of ties the whole meal together. Not too much, but you want to have the ongoing flavors throughout all of your meals, so it really comes together And I'm just gonna turn this onto a simmer to let it thicken. And the chunks you see in here are of the pineapple, there's coconut in here as well, and then orange marmalade slices of the fresh oranges, so. And see how that's actually thickened up quite a bit? It's not runny, it's sticking to the spatula, that's just how you want it. So that actually looks pretty good to me. Yep, so that part is done. So we're just gonna put that on the back burner. And now for our fish. Alexa, cancel 5-minute timer.
5-minute timer canceled.
So I'm just gonna take a peek at this. Alexa, set 2-minute timer.
Second timer, 2 minutes, starting now.
And it usually only takes 2 minutes on the other side to cook. If I can get it flipped here. It tastes pretty good. Usually I don't like salmon, but with the sauce on top, it tastes absolutely delicious. And another tip you can tell for when salmon is done is when you touch it, it won't be squishy. It will actually not bounce back. So that's how you know you got a good cook on your salmon. And usually they send you bigger pieces. I have these 2 little strips here. So I might actually just cook it on the side to make sure it's a good thorough cook on there. Because these are going to cook quite quickly. Spoon is definitely working better. So I'm just going to cook a little bit on each side. And the fish is already turning white and flaky on this side. I just want to get a little bit of color on the other side here. And the good thing about these meals too is you can take the recipes. It tells you exactly how many ingredients you need, the quantity. So you can actually take the recipe to the grocery store if you wanted to and, you know, make the same exact meal. Alexa, stop.
2-minute timer stopped on the menu.
So this looks pretty good. I'm just gonna temp check this real quick, but. Still not quite there yet. Alexa, set 2-minute timer.
Second timer, 2 minutes, starting now.
Alexa, stop.
15-minute timer stopped on kitchen.
Alright, so we got some good color around there. So I am actually actually going to check on my carrots, just toss them a little bit. And what I do to check the carrots is actually take a fork, poke it through the thickest part. And if I can get it through, they're done. Yeah, the carrots look good. Carrots are all done. I'm gonna put them over here. I have some pot holders under there, so I won't burn my little cabinet. Alexa, stop. This one's done. And one more to go. All right, so now we are going to check on the rice here. Still looks a little bit watery, so I think another 3 minutes would be good. And usually at this point, I just add in a little more butter so it won't stick to the bottom. It's about a tablespoon. And then I have some leftover chives. These are the ends of the chives. So I like to toss those in there for some more flavor. I absolutely love chives or green onions. Some people call them different things depending on where you're from. Alexa, set 2-minute timer.
2 minutes, starting now.
So watch that very closely. It's important not to really stir your rice while you're still trying to evaporate water, or else you're gonna get rice pudding. I found that out the hard way. Before I went on my gastric sleeve diet, I lived on potatoes. I didn't know how to make homemade rice, so it was kind of a learning curve for me. And I'm just gonna drizzle a little honey over my carrots over here. And that way, while the carrots are still hot, the honey will melt all over. I'm gonna give them a quick stir. A little bit more salt and pepper on my carrots. I usually don't like to over salt or pepper because you can't take that back. So as long as you're tasting your food throughout to what you like, you should be good. And you want to let the fish rest for about 10 minutes. Give this a taste. Alexa, stop. Alexa, set 2-minute timer.
2 minutes, Starting now.
So I'm just adding a little more salt and pepper in here, making sure the butter is fully
Salt
dissolved.
and pepper in here.
And since the water is mostly absorbed, I'm just throwing in a little bit more butter. Like I said, it's my husband's meal. He likes butter. This is mine. I would probably use a little more or olive oil, I should say. But this will just prevent it from burning and sticking on the bottom of the pan here. Still slightly a little bit hard, so let me try to fix. And the flavor is fantastic. All right, so I'm gonna rinse these off. And I have my meal containers over here. So let me clean out this area real quick. I'm gonna reuse this to stick everything in where it belongs. So let me grab some meal containers here. And it did also come with some sesame seeds as well. So that is going to go on top of the appearance. Alexa, stop. All right, so rice is done. So we will toss that over to the side. And I bought these nice little stickers. I think I got these on Amazon as well, but it has a date and contents label. So I always date, and then I wrote what exactly is in the meal containers because I usually end up deep freezing them. And my freezer is full of meals, so you want to know what you're eating. And it's always important too, you want to let your meals fully cool down before you put them in the deep freezer refrigerator. Otherwise the moisture builds up on top and then you get like icicles in there. So that's just a little tip I found helpful from past experience. So despite what I just said, I'm gonna put the meals together for you just so you can see. And if you go on the HelloFresh app, they can actually tell you the amount of protein and calories that are in each meal. I know salmon is a really good protein. There's about 20 grams of protein in the salmon. So we're just gonna go ahead and place a piece in each one. And we usually don't eat the skin on them. And then the glaze over here. Just gonna give this a little stir so it's nice and thick. And then once you reheat it, it will almost kind of thin out a little bit. So I'm gonna start with a spoonful over the top of each. And I usually try to make extra glaze just because it's so good. These thin little pieces don't need as much as the big ones do. Let's see, perfect amount for 4 pieces. And the more you do this, the more better you get at portion control and knowing exactly how much to make instead of having leftovers, which is a talent in its own. Like, it took me a while to be able to figure out how much to make instead of making way too much or not enough. All right, so we got the glaze on there. Get rid of the plate here. And now we will do the carrots. these I usually put in the side right here. And I'll start off with a little bit, and then just to make sure every meal has the same exact amount in it, and then I'll go back and fill it in. And another thing too I like about HelloFresh is it tells you exactly what tools you're gonna need, like a peeler, what type of pots and pans, you know, if you need a cooking sheet. So it's very helpful in that way and able to prepare you for cooking your meal. Some of the other meal kits don't have that provided, and you will also need like your own salt and pepper, olive oil, etc., depending on what you want to do. They don't provide you with that, but they do provide you with all the flavoring package you'll need. The reason I used my own jelly today is because this was supposed to be a soy glazed salmon, but wasn't really feeling it. So I just saved the flavor packets for another time, and I'll probably use it in a different meal, or if I'm making something on my own. And then the rice, we are going to want to fluff that up. Looks pretty good. Make sure everything's incorporated. All right, and same thing, I'm gonna start off with a small scoop in each one and then work my way backwards. Actually, that's kind of a big scoop, but that's all right. And they do really give you enough food, perfect portions for 4 servings. You can also do 2 servings, whatever fits your family. And what I like about them too is they have other meal options. Like right now, I think I have meat and veggies selected for my preference, but they have kid-friendly meals. They have one pot meals that pretty much everything is already made in a pot and you just put it in there and heat it up. And they also have, which is really good, sandwich kits to make. They have salad and breadsticks if you want like a little appetizer. So that's always, you know, something different, and it saves you from going to the grocery store. That's why I started doing this in the first place, was to save time going grocery shopping, because I absolutely hate it, especially now with all the COVID and you know, the food shortages and then the grocery stores being crowded. I absolutely hate grocery shopping now. So I'm just gonna toss a little bit of the sesame seeds onto the carrots. Maybe a little on the fish, just for a little texture. I know my husband's not crazy about the sesame seeds, but just for demonstration purposes. And what I also like to do is add on either some fresh parsley or chives, just to give it a little color. In the summer, I like to grow my own vegetables, and that way, you know, it's nice and fresh. So these are some chives, and since I have chives in the rice, I think it's just a nice color contrast, and it will add to that additional flavor that's already in there. And then I'm just going to add a little parsley on the carrots for a little color, a little green.
Actually, it missed today as well.
Just a little bit on the salmon for some color. All right, and there you have it. So we have our orange glazed salmon, or miso apricot salmon as they want to call it. But yeah, so it wasn't that hard to cook, fairly easy. As long as you cut up your vegetables first, the rest is just pretty much easy cooking, step-by-step directions. And like I said, I've made this in the past, so the more you make it, it is easier to make, and it's very simple, and their directions are very easy to follow. If you're interested in a coupon code for HelloFresh, you can DM me, instant message me. You can follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, or Facebook. I'm mostly on Instagram. It's under Elizabeth St. John, SAINTJOHN, and Facebook is Elizabeth ST space John. So thank you for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, comment. I hope you enjoyed my first video, and have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching.